Bleeding Disorder Awareness Month, and the hemophilia is one of them, and part of the awareness and part of what we're going to do in the upcoming month is talk about how hemophilia affects women in the bleeding disorder community.
Yes.
And a lot of the things that we go through and the challenges that we faces, and with getting our diagnosis, getting treatment, conversations with relatives, or relationship tips, I guess. Periods.
Sex.
Camp. A lot of stuff is gonna come up. The history, kind of where we came from, what we survived. I guess that's a better word. I guess what we
struggles.
Yeah. And that's so we're gonna have more, and so did I leave anything out? Did we say sex? I want to talk about that too.
Yes, we said sex. I said sex. I got it. We're good.
Okay.
I covered that one.
Okay, so we're excited because we just get to sit on the couch and talk. What else? I think we touched everything, camp, and so that's gonna be some of the topics that we're gonna try to get, because I want to start conversations. I hope our conversations start a conversation that you have with, hopefully a man has with his mom or his aunt or his grandma or his sister. I hope something we say, or especially their daughters.
What's that? There's a bruise there.
Especially
there's a bruise on that one too.
I'm getting excited. Because especially your daughters. I hope it does. I hope you look, as a mom, you look at yourself, because we have conversations and the certain things that we ask. Do you know your factor level? Do you know your status? Do you know we ask those kind of things. So maybe you'll look into yourself and say, well, what is my factor level, and how do I find that out, and how do I properly get tested? So
yeah, because I think the proper testing is definitely the key.
Because there's a lot of men out there that talk about their stories, and I meet them and they're amazing, but I always ask, well, how's your mom, or how's your sister, or do you have any daughters, and is she diagnosed? Does she have a diagnosis?
Well, it's funny because even some of the guys, like the older guys in the community, they were very active in the community. Like, I've had their daughters be like, oh yeah, I had like a 3-week-long period. I'm like, that's not normal, right? Like, no, people don't believe that long.
Daughters of men that are active in the community have said, I didn't really participate because I didn't think this was for me, because I'm just a carrier. And every time I hear them say that, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Because you're not just a carrier, and you should know those things about yourself, your factor level, why you're bleeding so much, and how you can get better treatment to prevent it, because your dad does. Your dad gets great care, and you deserve, and your boys. Yeah, and you deserve it. Your grandma maybe deserves it. Maybe you have aunts, that they don't talk about their periods, and maybe they don't have them anymore, so they don't think they have to worry about it, but their bodies hurt, and they think it's just with age, and it's not. It's not. There's microbleeds, and if the men get them and the women are symptomatic, then we're getting them too.
Yeah.
You're getting them too.
Yeah.
That's real. We're all yeah. She's getting them too. So in all seriousness, I hope we're not. I want to be light about it too. I mean, we laugh and we giggle about it. It's not. I mean, it is kind of funny. I wish I had my PhD.
I know, right?
I'd hand out scripts Stay. Make
Can
it
it
rain.
rain factor scripts?
That sounds bad. That sounds so bad.
It's funny though.
It sounds bad. That's why people like us are not doctors.
Right?
That's why we're not.
We're not doctors.
Why getting your voice heard is so important. How long, Lori, did you not speak up? Like, how?
About what, my bleeding stuff?
Yeah. Because I know I waited like...
I mean, they didn't do anything until I started a period. Once I started my period, and it was, like, heavier than normal, they finally tested me. And then they put me on to Stymie. And then
Nasal spray.
the nasal spray. And then, when I went to one of the camps, I got a head bleed and I blacked out and they couldn't get me to sniff it. And since they couldn't get me to sniff it, they couldn't get it into my system. So, one of our camp docs had to call up and talk to the hospital and they gave me the injectable DDAVP. And so that's what I went on from there. And that was at like 13, 14.
Were you advocating for yourself?
No, my mom was.
And when did you start doing that first?
For myself, when I turned 18. When I had Louis Children's.
A children's hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to start speaking out
Mm-hmm.
in adult care.
Yep.
And what was that like?
Scary. It was super scary.
Because okay, so
So after I left
you've had
Children's,
treatment, you've had
I
your
didn't-
diagnosis so young, and you had treatment, but they're still saying that girls don't get hemophilia. Girls don't get this is all while they're saying girls don't get hemophilia, girls don't have hemophilia.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think you are, and why do you want to have hemophilia? Because like it's some, disease we want to catch.
No.
Nobody wants to catch it. I was born this way.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault. Dang.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want anybody to have it. I don't want my son to have this. I don't want my grandmas, my aunts to have. I don't want nobody to have this. And it's there.
Yeah.
In women. And not just because the X on the man and the X on the woman came together, because my ex
Came from your dad.
and the other ex wasn't affected, and I still ended up with severe symptoms because I pass on severe hemophilia, and
Yeah, mine's the
my
severe.
diagnosis is mild hemophilia. So there's a lot of why do we both, because my son will pass on severe hemophilia, the gene to pass on severe hemophilia to his daughter. So why call? So it's the medical jargon stuff. Doesn't matter, what we're going through physically. So that is something that really bothers me, because when I have been confronted with a male that doesn't agree with why I should have the hemophilia diagnosis. Well, it says in black and white, everything you look at, it says it has to be a woman with the carrier gene and a man with hemophilia to create a female hemophiliac, and that is clearly
obviously not true.
It's obviously not true, because you're a product of a woman with the carrier gene hemophilia, because your mom has her symptoms, and I'm a product of so clearly. But when we're out there trying to and when I say out there, like going on a national level and saying, hey, I'm out here too, and they want to shut you down, and that's their only argument, I suggest you get a new argument, because it's so outdated, and there's so many women that will just shut that down nowadays.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear that. No one's gonna allow that to be repeated anymore.
The factor that I take is the same factor the guy takes. So why would it affect me differently than a guy?
And it does. I mean, we have testosterone. They have testosterone. We have the estrogens and the hormones, and so if it's not okay for the male to be at a mild level because they'll give him factor. Why is it okay for a woman to live at a mild level her whole life? Why am I not entitled to being at 100%, just like my son, just like all
your
the
dad,
men, just like and why do I have to live at that level and worry about bleeding out if something happens because I have, we have high levels when we're pregnant. Well, I'm not getting pregnant anymore, so my levels are going to stay low. And after my eye, clearly I'm having spontaneous micro bleeds. What if it happens in the same spot again? So fine, I got my diagnosis and that part of my anxiety is away, but I'm like, what if that comes back? Because of target bleeds.
Yeah.
Okay? And what if that's a target, a micro target? So one of the things that bothers me about, I shouldn't say bother, it bums me out about the treatment centers is that my whole family went to them. All the men in my family went to them except for, so they saw me growing up. They knew that my cousins had moms that were symptomatic and that where my dad, came from. So I was the only girl from a male in the family. But like the treatment as a whole, like it was just treatment for the men. So instead of bringing everyone in and educating them, and I know it's not easy, but maybe it is because they're already there.
Yeah.
They're already bringing their kids to the treatment centers, and I had a family history. I know some people may be listening to this and maybe they just found out, and I'm sorry if you have no family history and you have no knowledge of hemophilia. It gets better. It's not always as bad.
Yeah, it was that way for my mom. Like there was no family history until my brother was born.
And
then it was like, oh yeah, so your grandma
by the way,
had a brother that bit his tongue when he was like 2 years old, and yeah, he bled to death. But we didn't know there was hemophilia in our family then, so yeah, we just thought it was normal. That's like basically the story that I got.
And even though we're trying to talk about ourselves, we keep going back to the men. Oh, my brother. Oh, my dad. Oh, my cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing it too. I'm guilty of it too. And I catch you here doing it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm doing it too, and I'm like, no, let's not talk about him. Let's talk about her. And let's use different pronouns because the conversation is always about them, and that is upsetting. And they want you at the treatment centers, and they want you to make your appointments, and I'm taking them and I'm sitting there with him, and I'm exhausted, I'm in pain, I'm on my period, and I'm bleeding, and I'm not a part of the conversation. They don't even ask. I wasn't asked, and I wasn't. And when raising my son and seeing the kind of care that I just snapped my finger, like whatever he needed was there. I did not have to worry, and I did because of what I survived and what I grew up watching, and what the older generations had gone through. So of course I was fearful of what was my son, what kind of care was my son going to receive, what kind of medication was my son going to receive. But what about me and my care? And I had to use alternative form of medication to treat my pain, because when I was going to my primary care doctor and telling them things in my body hurt, they're giving me 800
milligram
ibuprofen. And I'm sitting there with this prescription like this is gonna make it worse. I'm why, and not taking it, even the primary care is not taking into consideration that I have a hemophilia in my family, and I put that, it's on every single, thing about my medical history, and yet I get ibuprofen. And so I had to look outside of Western medicine and consider natural alternative medication, and that's not cheap. It's not, and it's not really working because it's not like a pain from just standing too long at my job. It's pain because I have a bleeding disorder and my knee has bleed, my ankle has a bleed, and all I'm doing is treating the anxiety with that alternative medicine that I get because I'm in constant pain, and I don't, have conversations with doctors about the bleeding disorder causing it. So that is
and it's almost like when you try to have the conversations with the doctors, they're like, oh no, that can't be what's causing your pain. Like it's got to be something different, or it's all in your head, or oh, you must have twisted your ankle.
Why are the girls always the ones that want to milk it?
Yeah.
And because the medical community can be very they can say some very not so nice things because they clock out of hemophilia, and hemophilia pays the bills for them, and that's their job. But I went home after clinic with my son, and I was in pain, and my son is 16 years old. I didn't get to clock out of that. I didn't get to, punch a time clock out for that. And someone without that kind of hemophilia experience gets to tell me what kind of care I'm entitled to, or that they're telling me that my pain level is not worth being considered for treatment. But my son is, and he doesn't even really know hemophilia pain because of the treatment that he got. Yeah. The amazing treatment that he got from the HTCs from birth. As soon as he was diagnosed at birth, when I was diagnosed at 38 years old, and they already knew what I was going to be because what created me, so I always knew. My dad always told me, so it boggles my mind that the kind of care is still happening, even though there's doctors out there in the United States that are saying that this is happening to them. It's been happening. We didn't just wake up one day and say, I want to be hemophiliac too. My grandma had it. My aunts have it. I'm the only one with their diagnosis, but it's we outnumber them sometimes in the family, and
the women definitely outnumber the men in my family.
The women with symptoms outnumber. I outnumber. I'm sure of it. In their families, that will outnumber. I mean, I don't want to say that every woman that has hemophiliac is a hemophiliac themselves. I don't want to say that. If you're suffering, that you're having severe symptoms. Maybe you don't know that 2-week period is not normal, or the clots that come out of your body the size of your fist, you think it's normal. It's not normal. So and it should be treated, because now that I receive factor, my periods are normal. No, I would say normal. I barely bleed. I barely go through pads and tampons now,
yeah, like, I don't know, like, our diagnoses are so different that it's just like,
but even with
my like I grew up at the HTCs kind of because of my brother, but I know I didn't want to say it because I knew you were going to say something, but
I still love him. I'm just saying it's not about him.
I know, but that's why I was there.
Right, not your care.
Not my care. My brother's care.
Yeah.
But my mom would be like, Lori's knees, like, they get, like, really bad, like Patrick's, or, Lori hit her elbow the other day, and it looked like Patrick's elbows, and it took Mom, like, telling them that until, like, I started my periods, and my periods were, like, horrendous, and then they were like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, we'll test you
now. Anyways, but no, because when I went out of state, and the facility that they had, it wasn't that they built something out of the sky. This building was already there, and it's a room inside of the building, and there's nurses there that care for us and our symptoms, and they ask about our family history. So if we had a center that you bring your son in, you bring the male in, and the doctor and the nurses turn around and say, hey, where are the other women at? Let's look at them too.
Yeah.
That's what I would love to see change. The education about getting your diagnosis after after your period, because some women find out that hemophilia is in their family because they circumcised their son, and that's a horrible way to discover this condition, because it's all focused on the men and they're bleeding, and they don't really, well, they'll tell you get a carrier test, and that'll tell you you're a carrier, but not your factor levels tell you something else, and that kind of education. And how do we get it properly diagnosed after that, because of the hormones and the way that your emotions will affect the test. And
like, how long are you supposed to be off of birth control? How long do hormones stay in your body? Because apparently it's different for everybody.
And not using those tests that you got when you were pregnant and your factor levels are high, but knowing that you should be sedated, and maybe the doctors should help more with that part of the education and the test, because that's a big, you need to know that you're going from the caregiver to needing to be cared for, and that's hard because you want to do everything yourself. You want to drive yourself to the doctors, you want to make the appointment, you want to do everything, and it's hard when you're doing that for someone that depends on you. And it's okay to ask for help, because that's what we're trying to get the women to do, is be there for each other when I know how hard it is to get myself to the doctor.
Yeah. Like, I know that, like, if I have to go in and have a factor level test done, I have to take my psych meds. I know that. I know that they need to be in my system for me to not be super crazy anxious and make my levels shoot up.
Super crazy anxious that I have to deal with people that give me anxiety because they've ignored me my whole life, and here I am. Is this middle age? I don't want to say that. And that's horrible. Did I just realize that? But here I am at almost 40 years old, and it's not suddenly. I'm not suddenly getting these symptoms. I'm not all of a sudden I'm in pain. I've been in pain my whole life. I've been bleeding since I started. I've been bleeding, my bloody noses, my bruises. Those are bleeds. Those are, and I would like to see that change. I would like a changing of the guard, so to speak. I mean, so many people have been taking care of a certain, they took care of the men that came before us. And they also lost people that they cared about, and we're here to say that we've been there the whole time, and while you were taking care of their hemophilia and their hepatitis and their HIV, let's not forget that men are still dying from hemophilia related causes, and not just the other, the HIV, hemophilia can still cause a bleed in your brain, a bleed in your heart, whatever, and so we're forgetting that can happen to us. The women can, that can still happen to us too, because we're symptomatic. So that part of getting your diagnosis and being sedated is big. That's what helped me have my levels down after so many years being on my period, and being I'm living constantly anxious because I'm worried about the next thing that's going to happen to me. Not my son, because if he happened, there's one phone call and everything gets taken care of. But if something happens to me, who's going to explain symptomatic carrier? I don't call myself that anymore, but who, even it's so new, who's going to convince the doctor she's really she's really a hemophiliac. This happens to him too. That's scary.
But even with having the words,
you have a bracelet.
Hemophilia A carrier, mild factor 8 deficiency on my wrist since I was 12 years old. Still didn't have factor until I was 17. And it says I'm a mild. The doctors filled this out, not me.
So I would love to see that. I would love to see that the women get that same urgency of care that the men receive, and maybe start treating the family and not separate the male and only treat that one person, and to treat the whole family. The mom comes in with her son and she's upset, but break it to her gently that this might affect her too. And that help her take the road, the avenue she needs to get properly tested, so that she can receive the same kind of care at the same facility that she takes her son to twice a year sometimes.
Yeah.
We go twice a year. And so I have never been registered at an HTC until I got my diagnosis. But my son has since he was born. So this is an exciting project that we get to do for the month of March during Bleeding Disorder Awareness Month. And we're going to have more conversations on the couch and just talking about our experiences and some of the things that affect the women in the bleeding disorder community. So if anybody wants to reach out to us and bring up a topic or say hi, thanks for, whatever.
Ask a question,
ask us anything, ask us what we did to get our diagnosis, ask us what to do in case of whatever you guys want to know or have questions about. We'll keep it as real as possible. We're not medical, so we're not giving medical advice. We're just gonna
personal experiences.
We're going to share personal experiences with you and let you know that you're not alone. This is not happening only to you. This is happening to a lot of other women and in the bleeding disorder community. And there's other women with other conditions that are not getting proper care. It's not just affecting the hemophilia a community, because I think the Hemo B community, they've been ahead of the game with putting women on product placement posters. I love you girls. Hemo B community is amazing. So we're gonna have more of these conversations, and shout outs to the other bleeding disorders. 1 through 13, Factor 7. Factor 7, I love you, babe. My sister. The VWD girls. Glansmans, I love you, Glansmans.
Me too.
Platelets disorder pool. Did I say that right?
Platelet storage pool disorder.
Platelet storage pool disorder.
PSPD.
I don't want to say that wrong because I don't want to say that wrong.
PSPD.
Yes, you're right here. There's not a lot of you either, and I got you too. So join us again, and we're excited to share this with you for Bleeding Disorder Awareness Month, because that's what it's called now. And I love you, sister. Thank you so much for sitting on the couch with me.
Thank you.
Keep it real.
Yeah.
She bleeds too.
She bleeds too.